Hello everybody, welcome to day 21 of my casting everyday challenge. We're going back to Hearthstone. We've been casting a lot of the League lately, so wanted to go back to doing the Amazon coin qualifier here. It's still only day one, and this is still just I believe the quarterfinals of day one. So we are slowly getting past this, but we'll at least be done round one tonight. And we're going to have is Powder versus AKAWonder right now. I think AKAWonder is actually the only one I've ever heard before. I really haven't watched him too much or really seen him in any tournaments. And Powder is actually someone who I've never heard of before. And doing a quick look at the bands, no surprise Shaman is in both those bands. Shaman mid-range is just so strong right now that you see it either banned or picked almost every time. And surprisingly enough, there's different bands there. We're going to have Rogue and Priest. Priest is always good because it's one of those cards that you just are able to play on curve. You play a lot of minions, and it's just you overwhelm your opponent through the minions that you're able to play on curve, as well as some really big spells such as Entomb and Dragonfire Potion. And then you have Rogue, where it's mostly going to be that Pirate Rogue or Malagos Rogue. It all depends on what they go. They go with this more the spell heavy or the very aggro heavy deck. But surprisingly enough, even though we do see different bands coming out, we are going to see the exact same three decks coming out from each opponent here. Now, we shouldn't say the same decks, but at least the same classes, but most likely the same decks. We'll probably see Pirate Warrior. We'll probably see Jade Druid or Malagos Druid, one of the two. And then the same thing with the Warlock, we might see one or two. We might see either Discard Lock or we might see Reno. The only thing with Reno is that it's just a little inconsistent, and that's why you don't see it in these high-level plays. So we're going to go ahead and get right into the first game. It should start soon. Completely forgot to mute it. I've done that before many times, as if you guys have been following me, you know. So we're going to get right into this. This is where it gets interesting of what you want to do for first. Do you want to try to get your worst deck out of the way, or do you want to try to go for an easy win? Now, both players aren't going to be using that Warrior right away, and just from what we can see, it looks like AKAWonder is running with that more of a Jade-style Druid, while the Warlock from Powder is going to be that Discard Lock Discard Lock, yeah, I don't have to say Discard Lock Warlock, because that's kind of an oxymoron, isn't it? So we'll be seeing that very highly tempo deck coming out from Powder, where he just wants to keep playing minions out on curve and try to just overwhelm the board. And AKAWonder playing more of a late game style. So as long as AKAWonder here is going to be able to clear the minions that as they come out, he should be fine. But with the opening hand right now, he doesn't really have anything too special. Now, Jade Isling here is actually not too bad of an idea. If he does trade it, you could just go ahead and use your hero power to trade out, or you could go ahead and Jade Blossom and get a 2/2 out then. So I really don't mind it, but it looks like he's just going to try to play on curve, throw out that Wild Growth, coin it out, and then probably just go ahead and play the Jade Blossom the next turn. Probably the best thing is just to start ramping now and try to get to your end game as fast as possible. So Powder is going to draw that Dark Petal and use it right away, try to see what he can get for the 1-mana cards. We don't see him, but he's going to go with the Possessed Villager, which is always a good one. Usually the Warlocks do run 2 in their deck anyway, so it's pretty fine to pick that up, depending on maybe we saw something, maybe he had to go with Power Overwhelming or something like that. So he's going to put that Jade Blossom down. So AKAWonder now already getting 2 ramp already, so he's going to be really far ahead of his opponent now as it gets in the later stages of the game. Already going to have 5 mana on turn 3. That's immense. So the Darkshire Councilman is going to come out now, and this is going to start applying pressure now. AKAWonder has to deal with it, and as we see in his hand, he doesn't really have anything. He can right now just start flood the board with some Jades and Jade Spirits. But it looks like he's hovering the Nourish, possibly trying to get cards just to deal with that Councilman down the line. But it looks like he's going to go with that. Probably go for a Feral Rage, so he could go with a Feral Rage and a Hero Power to get rid of that Councilman next turn. But he's actually going ahead and use it for ramp, so he's just looking for pure spike, trying to get his big ticket minions out as soon as possible, and that's where the Jade Behemoth's going to come in, because Powder is going to have a very rough time dealing with it. Now, we do see that he has a Soulfire in his hand, but that's still a big card that he has to use that he can't use for burst down the line, so we'll have to see how that works out for Powder. But he's going to use the Imp Gang Boss, which is a great card for Warlock. You even see that in almost every Warlock deck right now, and the Voidwalker as well. So just start getting that Darkshire Councilman, start ramping that up, but also protecting it through that taunt. So this is where it's going to be a little bit of an interesting decision by AKAWonder. Is he going to favor more Jades, or is he going to dump the Jade Idols into his deck? I'm a big fan of right here just going ahead and using it to get more Jades on the board, because you want to try to match the tempo that this Warlock gives you. If you throw him in your deck, it's going to be very slow. So he's going to throw the Jade Behemoth right now. He has a decision of if he wants a hero power or not, or throw out the Jade Idol instead. So we'll have to see of what AKAWonder decides to do. Personally, I do like throwing the Jades out here. Starting to get some Jades out there. Getting your third Jade out right now is going to be good for as we go later in the game, because we do see that Jade Spirit. He probably has a brand somewhere in his deck, so that's a good combo coming out that he'll be able to use, and that's exactly what he's going to do. But will he dump him in his deck, or will he summon one? He does summon one. He still has another Jade on his deck. He still has a way to use it with the Gadget 10 later on, and usually Druids only one Gadget 10 Auctioneer anyway, so he's going to hold on to that for a while and not start to use it just yet. So Powder, I do not know what card he was hovering. It was, oh yeah, the Direwolf Alpha. So he's going to throw that down, and this is going to really help him. He's going to be able to clear off this Jade Behemoth. It's going to cost him quite a bit, but he's at least going to be able to... Actually, it looks like he's just going to dump his hand and then go ahead and use a Soulfire, so he doesn't really lose anything on the discard, because he doesn't have any imps right now, so he doesn't have any card draw. So this is a really good play coming out from Powder here to make sure that he gets the best possible out of it. And then he still has a bunch of damage. He has, after this, let's see, if he uses the Imp Gang Boss and the Feral Imp, he will still have about 9 damage going for face, but it looks like he's going to instead to use that taunt that he has. I'm not a big fan of that, because he wants to kind of, in my opinion, he should protect that Darkshire Councilman. But also, if he uses the Imp Gang Boss, he's also not buffing up his Councilman, and I think he realizes that. So he's probably going to clear with the Imp Gang Boss instead, and the rest are probably going to go face. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't do that. Instead, he's just going to go face, put his opponent down to 4 health. I kind of forgot to look at what AKAWonder's health was, and being at 4 health is just going to be devastating for him. I don't think he can actually do anything right now. Just looking at his options, he can't clear off enough damage, so that's going to be a very early game going over power, and great job for him just putting on the pressure and not allowing AKAWonder to set up. He was able to get, what was it, 4 ramp out of that in 3 turns, so he was really good as when it came concerned to mana. The only problem was that he just didn't have the board presence to deal with what a discard lock can do, is just completely overwhelm your opponent with minions, and that's exactly what he did. Because it's just like old time Zoo. It's just a little bit of extra. I want to say it's a little riskier going to discard cards, but because they're discard cards, they're a lot more powerful. So that's why you see this discard Zoo lock actually working out in these high tier plays. So we will see Powder pick up the first game, but AKAWonder not completely out of it. He still has 3 decks to go, but Powder getting a win with that Warlock. All he has left is the Warrior and Druid. I was saying the last time we were casting how Warrior I always thought was almost an auto win, but we did see someone lose 3 games with it. So it's not as much as an auto win as I thought it was. So we do see now AKAWonder going ahead to use this Warlock, which, looking at it, it does look like it's going to be another Zoo type deck. Because of the Doomguard, I'm going to assume it's also discard lock, but it's kind of hard to too hard to guess that. And Powder here is just going to go ahead and run with the Pirates. He has an upgrade. He has a N'Zoth's First Mate, so he's looking really good already just from the first turn. So we'll have to see if he uses that upgrade right away, or if he's just going to keep his Rusty Hook at a 1/3. So with the look at that Silverware Golem, it's definitely a discard lock. So with the first turn, he's probably just going to go ahead, Possessed Villager, doesn't really matter. Keeping 2 of those Silverware Golems can be a little bad because he doesn't have the discard lock cards just yet. So with this, he's going to be able to get both Patches out and his Rusty Hook. So he's going to be able to clear off this Villager pretty easily. That is if he wants to, but yeah, he's going to go face with Patches instead. The one thing with Pirate Warrior is you kind of want to force your opponent to do the trading. You don't want to do it yourself. And here's what Warlock can do really well: just overwhelm the board already from turn 2. He's already having 3 minions out, and we'll have to see what he's going to do. My best guess is he's just going to clear. Both of these decks do want to go very aggro heavy and want to force your opponent to trade. The only problem is when you're against Pirates, they could go a lot quicker to your face because of the weapons they have. So I'm not surprised here. AKAWonder just going for the trade, and we'll have to see how Powder reacts to that. Looks like he might coin out that Captain. I'd be very shocked if he does that, actually. But it is going to make all Pirates stronger, so he would actually be able to clear off the board, leaving only a 1/1 out from the Possessed Villager. So actually, now that I see it, I really do like that play. But he's going to Frothing Berserker instead. which again, that's also a good play because at this point, AKAWonder really doesn't have a way to deal with it. He needs to draw a Soulfire or something along the lines of that. So Powder here being a little risky, hoping that his opponent doesn't have that Soulfire, and as of right now, he is winning that risk. Now, AKAWonder can use his hero power or use just summon a Silver War Golem. It all depends on how risky he wants to be. If he goes ahead and uses that hero power, he has to draw something to deal with that Frothing Berserker, be it a power overwhelming or the Soulfire. If he at least throws the Golem down, he can at least contest with it. The only problem is with that weapon out already, he's not really going to reliably clear it unless he draws 1 damage with something else down the line, be it I actually don't know what it would be able to do. So he is just going to play it safe, throw down the Silver War Golem and go face, but this is looking really good now for Powder. He could clear off that Possessed Villager. Oh, now that I think about it, though, with Possessed Villager's Death Rattle, he will actually be able to clear off that Frothing Berserker then. So here comes the upgrade out of Powder. So this is just to give the Bloodsail a little bit more of a boost when it comes out. And again, he's just going to clear off that Possessed Villager and go face. So with this work of the Silver War Golem, he's going to be able to clear off that Berserker, but it already is doing 6 damage to his face. And AKAWonder shaking his head there, realizing that he's just getting very, very unlucky with these draws, picking up another Doom Guard. These are just dead cards in his hand right now, and you really don't want 2 Doom Guards because you can't reliably play one without losing the other. So this is going to be really rough for AKAWonder. We'll have to see what he does down the line, but Powder looking really good. He has the Kor'kron Elite in his hand, just going to go ahead and use it. And this is just all going to go downtown, go to face as he clears off that Knife Juggler, and AKAWonder has to draw something really big here. He just gets a Dark Peddler, so can he get lucky with the Doom Guard? He doesn't. He does get rid of his other Doom Guard. He at least didn't get extremely unlucky. If that Silver War Golem didn't get discarded, that would have been just massive. But as we say that, it's just looking so good here for Powder. He could put his opponent down to 1 health, and just thinking of what AKAWonder can have, he has 8 damage on the board. He needs, let's see, we need 14 more. That's even 3 power overwhelmings isn't going to be enough. So AKAWonder realizes this, tries to get something. He at least would have gotten 1 power overwhelming off from the Dark Peddler. So he would at least been able to deal damage to the face, but he would need like 3 or 4 actually in order to do that. So again, Powder going to win the second game. He's going to use the Sir Finley to see if he can get extremely lucky. Gets the lesser heal, but that's not going to keep him alive. Just the damage coming in. He actually needs a taunt tome. This is better than what I thought. Gets the spell power, so that is going to lose the 1/4 shot of staying in this game. And AKAWonder takes a very quick 0-2, and Powder just has his Druid left. Yeah, that's a little bit unlucky there by AKAWonder. He did get pretty bad draws there, getting that double Doom Guard, getting the Silver War Golem, the double Silver War Golem. Just didn't have his low mana minions to just spam out as the same Powder did in game 1. So that is one of those where you could be like, hey, I just got unlucky with the draw. That is Hearthstone, but I still have 3 more decks to win with. He still has to win, so I'm still in this. So AKAWonder has to keep a level head and come in, just not get tilted after that, and he's going to throw out his Warlock again, and this is a much better draw. Now that a 6 Swamp Ooze is not going to be that good against this Druid, because, well, Druid has no weapons to use, so he's probably going to ditch that for a better 2-drop, but it looks like he actually might keep it. He just wants to keep it on curve at this point, so with that Silver War Golem, another dead card in his hand for a while, so putting that Imp down to at least contest the board. We'll have to see if Powder wants to contest this, but I don't think he will. I think he'll probably just coin out the Wild Growth here to start ramping. He's thinking about it. He's thinking if he wants to go ahead and Wrath it, but at this turn, I don't think it's worth it, but he does. So he's going to go ahead, Wrath out that Imp, and not allow AKAWonder to start with the card draw. Now, the only thing is that he didn't realize that AKAWonder actually doesn't even have any ways to discard any cards at this point, so it wouldn't have really done anything. Granted, that's what we have as observers. We're able to see that, but they aren't, so this is actually looking for AKAWonder. He's kind of just playing on autopilot right here, and that's exactly what you want when you play discard lock, is you just want to be able to play on autopilot. You want the decisions basically made for you, and that means you're actually in a good spot in this game. So Powder here needs to get kind of desperate with this Raven Idol, but he doesn't really get much out of it. Just the The Twisting Roots is going to help a little bit. He's probably going to use that to clear off the Acidic Swamp Boob's next turn, but he's just going to throw out a 1/1 Jade Spirit and start ramping again. But he is going to be able to taunt next turn, but that's only going to be able to do so much at this stage of the game, because as you see in AKAWonder's hand, he has quite a bit of work here. He could just throw out both of those 1-mana cards, put that up to a 3/5 Darkshire Councilman, or he could just go ahead and use the Crystal Weaver and just start putting a lot of big minions on this board, and that's exactly what he's going to do. I don't think he's going to clear at this point. I think he's just going to go face instead. I don't think there's really a good reason to clear. That 1/1 is not going to really be able to do too much. AKAWonder thinks differently, so he's going to go ahead and clear it off. So this is where it gets an interesting idea from Powder. If he's going to throw out that taunt or not, he will at least be able to stop some damage from going face, but he looks like he's going to go for the card draw instead. The Azure Drake comes down, so we'll have to see what the Living Roots come afterwards, but it's going to just clear off the Acidic Swamp Boos. That extra spell power not really doing too much to help him. So this is still looking really good for AKAWonder. With that Imp Gang boss, I don't think he's going to play it out just yet. He could just start ramping up with that Darkshire Councilman so fast with those 1/1s in his hand. And because one of them's a taunt, it's just going to stop that Azure Drake from really doing anything at this stage of the game. So, in my opinion, I feel like just throw everything down, go phase, and make your opponent do something. Even a swipe right here isn't devastating. It does clear off a lot of your board, but it doesn't. It still leaves you with 2 minions up. So I feel like you can play in a swipe a little bit at this stage, just because it, in my opinion, if your opponent has it, he probably would have used it last turn. We didn't see him use it, so I would assume that he doesn't have it, especially with the Azure Drake coming down. It's very, in my opinion, it makes it seem like he doesn't have it. But he's going to clear off the Azure Drake just so the spell power doesn't come out. But in my opinion, it doesn't really matter, because that spell power wouldn't have done anything with the swipe anyway. Now, we see he does not draw that swipe, so this is where it's going to be interested by Powder of what he's going to do. He's not going to really be able to clear anything off, so he's just going to go at Jade Behemoth and try to get some sort of damage prevention coming in. Now, with that Dire Wolf Alpha, that's going to really help clear off that Jade Behemoth, but we're going to see how he decides to play this. Is he going to Hero Power to see what he's going to be able to get and use, or is he just going to start throwing minions down? At this stage, AKAWonder's trying to think of what his options are at this point. I feel like hero powering here is not that bad of an idea. The only thing you do sacrifice is that you can't play both Imp Gang Boss and Direwolf Alpha. It seems like AKAWonder disagrees with me, so he's just going to play both of them anyway. And he's probably just going to throw the Councilman in to get rid of that. It might not be the best thing, because now you really play in a swipe. So he's still thinking about what to do. I think at this point, now that he's already want to go ahead and throw out that Imp Gang Boss, that hero powering now is not going to really be too worth it. He could get a good 1-mana spell, but I feel like if we got Soulfire plus a Direwolf Alpha is what he really would have liked to have. So he's going to go ahead, throw down that Direwolf, and we'll see him just clear off that that Jade Spirit. Hopefully we do not see the swipe coming out of Powder, because this is a really good swipe target for him, seeing that everything at 1 health, but that's not going to be the swipe. He's going to get, again, try to grab something with the Azure Drake. He gets another Jade Blossom, so at this point he doesn't want to start ramping, so he's just going to go ahead and Feral Rage. He needs the health right now, but that 8 armor is just going to be taken away from that Councilman, and with that Soulfire coming out, I think that's game. Does he have 23 damage? He has 5... Okay, so he has 10, 15. He'll get an extra 1. So from that, so 5 with the Soulfire. Not going to be enough. So he's going to go ahead, Soulfire the Azure Drake, gets out the Silver Golem, and just deal everything face now. It's going to be able to deal 16 damage, put his opponent down to 9 health. Actually, now with that Direwolf pickup, it's going to be a little bit more. That's 3 extra damage he's going to put up. So now it's going to be down to 6 health, if my math was correct. And it wasn't, so he's going to be down to 4 health, actually. So this is looking really bad for Powder. He needs something extremely good. The Wrath will at least be able to get rid of the Councilman. He's actually just banking on getting swiped. That's why he's throwing it to the Alpha. Great move there. Gets the Raven Idol. He's, again, a possibility of getting a swipe, but he doesn't grab it. Going to get the Feral Rage instead, but that's going to be game. AKAWonder will pick up a game for himself, and there goes the Druid, or the Warlock win. And Powder still looking for a win on his Druid. that was actually just really good from AKAWonder. This time he got the draws that he needed. He just played on basically autopilot. He had a few decisions actually there, where if he should hero power or just dump the board, and it turned out this time around that dumping the board did work out. He played hardcore in his swipe, and Powder just never drew it. So AKAWonder, it's one of those moments where do you want to say that was lucky? Did he play into it realizing, hey, my opponent didn't play swipe earlier, he probably doesn't have it, and he just never drew it. So it could be one of those where it was a good play into, got kind of lucky that he never drew it. So that's probably what I would say. Good read, and then he just continually got a little bit luckier as it didn't draw. So AKAWonder with the one thing that you just don't want turn one, you just don't want patches in your hand, but you want N'Zoth's first mate. This is one of the best hands you could have starting out. So he has a nice 1-2-3 punch coming out here. Probably won't use that Fiery War Axe just because it gets rid of that Rusty Hook, but it's all going to depend on what Powder is going to be able to do. With this can, I think he's just going to coin out the Wild Growth, try to get some ramping in to get those high tier cards out as soon as possible. Powder's actually thinking about this one for a while. He actually might just go ahead and Jade Idol. Most likely for a spell. That's just what mostly we see out of Druids. And again, not too great. The Starfall is going to be decent since he does have the Fandral in his hand. Not going to be able to do really too much though. And actually, I really do like this Warrior hand by AKAWonder. It's not pure Pirate Warrior. It's that Curator Warrior that we did see quite a bit of where it was the you have one dragon, one beast, and do you have a Murloc? Yeah, you have Sir Finley, so you have one Murloc in your hand as well, and you try to get as much Curator value, and it's kind of almost like Zoo, but not quite. So it's one of those things where you just want to keep playing on curve and play very aggressively with what you have. It's still aggro, not as aggro as Pirates, but Pirates are very, I don't want to say combo-y as well, because it's not like a combo as in a rogue, but more of the cards have a great synergy. That's it. The cards have great synergy with each other with Pirates, but if you don't have the cards, then you can't have the synergy and it doesn't work out, while this kind of deck list from AKAWonder is just all around good. The Blackwing Corruptor coming out now, I believe the only dragon that AKAWonder is going to have in his deck is... Actually, no, this is probably Dragon Warrior, so this is a lot different than what I was thinking. Usually what I was thinking was just the Azure Drakes, but no, this is probably the Azure Drakes, probably as well having a Ysera, maybe an Alexandra, I don't know. We'll have to see of what other dragons he has in his hands or in his deck besides Azure Drake. Now, the Fandral comes in just to really contest the board right now. He's not going to be able to do too much. Sadly, these Blackwing Corruptors not really doing too much in his hand right now, but because of that Fiery War Axe and that Blood to Ichor, he's going to be able to clear that with only losing one of his minions. He takes a little bit of face damage, but that's fine as a warrior. You're alright with taking face damage, no problem there. He actually decides to throw the patches in, so he likes his N'Zoth's first mate a little bit more than patches. I don't think it really mattered of what he threw into that. Now, at this stage of the game, what does Powder have the option of doing? Down to 14 health, he now has to think defensively because he's taking so much harass, and really the only thing that's protecting him right now might be that Jade Behemoth. He might be able to Wrath, but that's only going to be 2 damage he's getting rid of. The Hero Power only really removing 1 damage out, but he thinks differently as he's hovering over that Starfall. He's just going to go ahead and get rid of that Fierce Monkey, but that's still 5 damage on the board as well as 3 more with that Fiery War Axe, so... Luckily, AKAWonder still hasn't drawn any of his dragons. It's weird seeing a Dragon Warrior. I think this is going to be a Dragon Warrior deck without drawing any dragons. But just looking at the board right now, it's just really tough for Powder to do anything. And you see just the tilt on him. He's not getting the draws that he needs, and it's really delaying anything that he could do right now. So at this point, his only option is going to be to use that Azure Drake to see if he get anything off the draw. If he doesn't really get anything of value, which is just going to be another Arcane Golem, so he does coin out that Wrath to get rid of that Blackwing Corruptor, but still, we see that there's 8 damage on the board. AKAWonder literally needs 1 source of damage. Okay, 2 sources. Oh, he's going to just clear it, so still back down to that 1 source of damage in order to win this game. Or my math's actually, no, 2 sources of damage again because he still gains that hero power. What am I talking about? Because he didn't draw a dragon, he's still not going to be able to finish this game out, but he's still in the driver's seat at this point. He could actually probably go face with his 2 minions throughout the Ghoul and then clear the Azure Drake. That's going to be a very interesting choice, but it looks like he might just go ahead and dump everything down that he could, which is just really the Blackwing Corruptor. And will he go face? It looks like he will. So all he needs is that 2 damage. With that Alex draws his champion, he would be able to get it with just a dragon draw. So really 2 damage coming out from a warrior isn't really too big of a thing to ask for. Now, he does get that living roots, which will keep him alive a little bit longer. He's going to be able to clear off the champion, clear off the Blackwing Corruptor, and this is going to keep him alive for a little bit. So this is one of those things where if you would have threw down the champion instead of the Blackwing, that 3 damage could have went face. And he did draw the dragon, so a little bit of a misplay by AKAWonder there, not keeping the Blackwing Corruptor in his hand and throwing it on the board. Kind of surprised that he did that. I think he kind of forgot about the Jade Behemoth, didn't think of Taunt, because Blackwing Corruptor could have went through Taunt here and won in the game, but because of a little bit of a misplay, he's going to be forced to throw this down. So he'll at least be able to clear the board. It does cost him quite a bit, though. But again, he has board presence. He just needs 2 damage. He has 6 on board right now. And we were looking at Powder. He does need something really big with his Raven Idol. Is he going to go Spell or is he going to go Minion? He would need a Taunt minion, Taunt minion, if anything. And he doesn't really get anything out of it. The only thing that really helps him in this case might be the Nourish. The 2 armor from the Claw is not going to be enough because, like we said, he has 6 damage and only 2 health. So he needs something huge off the Nourish, and it has to only cost 2 mana. And he would need to Innervate and a Feral Rage to stay alive in this game. So it's one of those things where he has to Nourish and just try to get lucky here. He needs an Innervate and something really, really big. He gets a Wrath. That's not enough. Swipe, not enough. And a Jade Idol. So again, not going to be enough. He's at least going to be able to clear off that Berserker, or not the Berserker, the Feral Ghoul there. But again, this is going to be another win coming out from AKAWonder, and there it is. Powder not getting a win off this Druid. So AKAWonder is going to have his Druid again. Powder is going to have relatively the same Druid deck, so it's going to be a mirror match for our 5th and final game in this series. But I really like that matchup coming out from the Dragon Warrior coming out from AKAWonder. It really worked for him, and it showed just the tempo you could have playing on curve. A little bit of a misplay in my opinion there, not throwing out that Blackwing Corruptor without a dragon, because he could have went through Taunt to win the game a little bit sooner. But at the end, he wasn't punished for it. But again, I see the idea of what he wanted. He wanted to keep board presence. He wanted to keep the tempo up. But if he would have just threw the champion down instead, he would have at least been able to go through the Taunt with that Blackwing. So now we're going to see Jade Druid versus Jade Druid for the winner to move on. So everyone is just dumping their entire hands, and both team players are going to know this. But as we see from AKAWonder, he's the one who does have the ramp while Powder doesn't. Powder's going to be just first turning, using that Jade Idol, or Raven Idol, sorry, to try to get something. And we don't see what he has. It looks like he just took that Nourish right away. It was an instant choice by him. And he's not going to coin out the Wild Growth. He's just going to match Raven Idol for Raven Idol. But this time he gets the Feral Rage, which in my opinion is a little bit better than that Nourish. But we'll see how it goes down, because with double Nourish in his hand, now I'm definitely feeling the Feral Rage over that Nourish. So next turn is looking good for AKAWonder. He's basically getting free ramp and not have to worry about having to answer anything from Powder. He wasn't able to use any living roots. He wasn't able to innervate anything out. This turn, he's kind of forced to innervate Nourish here to keep himself at that permanent +2 mana. So looking really good for AKAWonder here, because he still does not have to answer anything. He's going to be a little bit behind on the terms of mana from that ramp, but he at least is going to be able to play this minion down and force Powder to start to react now. Sometimes in Hearthstone, it's being reactive or being proactive instead of reactive is what wins you games. So at this point now, AKAWonder was being able to be proactive, but with the Jade Behemoth going down, AKAWonder does have to react with it, but he has that Feral Rage from earlier, and with the coin, he could both Jade Blossom and Feral Rage this turn. And in my opinion, that's a really good play, because you'll be able to clear off not only the Jade Behemoth, but get your board going, get your ramp going as well. And you can completely clear the board if you would like, and just keep your 2/2 out. I don't think you absolutely have to, but we'll have to see what he does with his final Jade Idol. I like just throwing in the one damage to face isn't going to really matter. It's going to be all about the board presence and getting to late game, where you just want to throw as many Jades, like big powered Jades, as you can, because unless either of these guys run, let's just say, what is that 2 mana card that destroys? Not Nerd. I can't think of it right now, but unless they run any sort of hard wave or hard board clear, it's going to be really tough for them to get out, because at the late game, Feather Rage's swipes are not really going to do too much to these Jades. AKAWonder thinking really hard on this one. It looks like he doesn't want to take the 3 damage from that Behemoth, so instead he might just go ahead and Nourish to get some ramp going. He's going to go ahead and get those 2 mana crystals. We'll see if he just hero powers. He is going to throw everything to that Jade Behemoth. Alright, okay, that was actually a good play there. He actually just threw his 1/1 because he didn't want the hero power to clear it off, or such say like a swipe or something. So he wanted to put that damage into Jade Behemoth. Now, an Emperor coming out from Powder, he's going to be able to discount a lot of cards in his hand. Well, it's going to be 3. That Innervate won't be discounted, but everything else is going to be. So a 3 mana Emperor is still a pretty good discount coming out. Now, this is where it gets interesting from AKAWonder. This turn, I feel like wrathing down the Behemoth and getting rid of the Emperor with your Feral Rage is going to be the play. But we'll have to see what AKAWonder... He didn't do what I thought last time would have been the better play, and we'll see if that works for him. Because now he does have that Feral Rage to deal with that Emperor, so it did work for him in the long run. Because if he didn't do that, let's just... Actually, no, he would have been able to Wrath and then use his... use that 2/2 that came out from the Jade Blossom. AKAWonder thinking long and hard about this. He's actually just going to go ahead and Azure Drake, it seems. Or Azure Drake. Get another Drake off of that. So he's just going to go ahead and Jade Blossom. He's going to allow Powder to get a double Emperor proc off, which is not really all that good. But he's not going to go too aggressive with the Emperor. So he's going to keep it out there, and we'll have to see what Powder decides to do. The Azure Drake coming out is going to be able to... get not himself only card draw, but also give him a presence on the board with some spell damage. But he'd use one. No, that's his first one, I believe. So he's still trying to figure out what he wants to do, and he is going to use that Drake, see what he gets off of the cards, and just going to go ahead, Feral Rage to get rid of his opponent's Drake. So looking really good for Powder. Having the board presence right now is especially what you want, and getting so many discounted Arcane Giants. Now, one thing to think about, though, is from that Emperor, the Arcane Giants aren't always the best one to discount, because you're going to, by the end of the game, discount them to 0 anyway. It's just going to allow you to play them a little bit sooner for a little bit cheaper, which is one of those things where you kind of just want to hold them off to late game anyway. But if you could throw them out early game for really cheap, it's always worth it, and that's what Emperor is going to do. Now, this swipe is a really big pickup. He's going to be able to Azure Drake swipe and deal with a lot of this board. Using the coin, he'll be able to hero power as well and just clear off the entire board. So great pickup coming up from AKAWonder, and his passiveness, his patience is paying off as he now starts to have board control over his opponent, and he also has the card advantage as well, and the extra mana coming into the next turn. So AKAWonder playing this very patiently, and it's definitely working out for him. Now, with the Fandral coming out, this is going to allow the Nourish to come out. This is basically just going to be a 1-mana Nourish, just because he gains 2 and it only costs him 3. So we'll have to see if he goes ahead and uses that Raven Idol as well, which I'd be very shocked if he didn't. See what he gets out of it. The Crazed Worshipper is going to be really the only good one out because of the taunt. Sadly, you don't want the Major Dormo, just because it's going to really hurt you in the long run. Nourish... This is where it gets interesting, though. I really like the Innervate. It's going to allow you to do a lot with this turn coming up and possibly just flood your board with Arcane Giants. Your opponent does have a Drake, which you can swipe, so he's going to go ahead and use that Innervate, and he's probably going to go ahead and use them this turn. So it looks like the first thing he's going to do is get rid of that Drake, and it looks like he's going to try to get as many of the Giants as he can. It looks like he could get both of them, and it looks like just in time. He's going to go ahead and play both of the Giants out. Perfect timing by him, and that is one thing that's good. I said it's not the greatest thing to get discounted Giants that early from Emperor, because you're going to discount them anyway. But when you could just throw two of them out at once, it's really tough for your opponent to deal with, and he didn't really draw anything that's going to help him deal with these. From the spells, he does have the damage to deal with one of them. Sadly, I don't think that's going to be enough, though. I think at this point he might just go ahead and Fandral and throw out every single one of his spells. They're all going to be used up from his choose both of them. So he'll be able to do 4 damage and get and get a card. He's going to be able to get some health and get his attack damage. So this is going to have some pretty good value out from it. I'm betting well to see if what he draws. This is going to be a really big draw. Gets another Wrath, so I feel like using that right away, perfect pickup by him. He's going to be able to clear off at least one of these giants, and the Living Roots will at least do damage to the other Fangirl. So he's probably going to lose his Fangirl next turn, but he's at least going to be able to deal with what's on this board for now. Now, Powder here, losing quite a bit of minions, is going to have a rough time because he has 11 damage. He could put his opponent down to 5 health. And as we see, he didn't draw the Pharaoh Rage, which Pharaoh Rage or Swipe here will be lethal. Going ahead and use that excess mana. Can he draw the cards that he needs? He gets a Wrath. He still has a chance at it, and he's going to go for it. He's going for the win, which I don't blame him for at all. He still needs a Pharaoh Rage or the Swipe for the win. He gets the Living Roots, so I don't think that's enough just yet. But he'll at least be able to clear out the Fandrill, get some good minions out, and this is just looking extremely good for him. AKAWonder needs a really, really big draw right here. Emperor Thorson is not going to be it, so without having a card draw, without having any good ways to get a lot of health back, he's forced to really Pharaoh Rage for the armor, but that's still not going to be enough. He's going to drop here, and that's going to be game going over to Powder as he has lethal. He has way over 13 damage, and AKAWonder not able to get that win with the Druid. Powder losing twice on this Druid deck, but he does win it on his third game, so great job by Powder to go ahead and move on to the next stage, which we will cast at some point. Like as I said earlier, we've been kind of going back and forth with these castings of it, but Powder played a great job there, kind of playing with a calm head and coming back to win that game, not getting frustrated that he lost twice with his Druid, and it showed really how strong Warlock and Warrior is in this deck. It beat Druid easily every single matchup that had happened, so great job to Powder. He's going to be facing Shinoi's in the second round, who somehow beat Sidonia. So we'll see how that matchup comes in. We'll probably cast that. We'll probably be back in, who knows, 2 weeks. We'll probably be with it. But thank you so much for joining me, guys. If you think of anything that I could work on, definitely work it on in the comments. Type it out on there. Let me know what I could do. If you ever want to join me, go ahead. Also, just throw a comment down like, hey, I want to join you. I want to learn casting. I'm more than happy to show any newbies of how to learn how to cast, or if you think, hey, I've been casting for a while, I just want to cast with them to get a casting partner, I'm always up for it. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.